Welcome, welcome, welcome. I was like, shoot, I can't see my face. Welcome to Saturday morning. Yeah, I know I'm getting started a little bit late, but I did some tweaks and some work on this. Hope you guys don't mind. Um, yeah, I've been kind of art directing this a little bit. I mean, I haven't had a ton of spare time in the time that I've in the time between last week and this week, but I did do a little bit of changes. So like if you remember, you know what? Where's the it's this one. Okay, let's go texture. Add this to spotlight. Scale it way down. So I've been going through. I lengthened out the ears. I tried to simplify some of the facial anatomy. I refined some of the. Yeah, it's getting rid of too much of the body there. Yeah, some of the anatomy and everything to make sure that everything looks decent. Um, it's kind of funny how it's like. Let's go ahead and hit switch color. We'll just kind of get rid of this border manually. Um, try to strengthen the anatomy, make sure that it feels more in line with what I want to actually have. Just kind of doing this with a mouse right now, by the way. There we go. There we go. So that should be good now. All right. So yeah, one of the things that I wanted to do is kind of strengthen the anatomy. I wanted to simplify it. I'll probably see about maybe adding in extra detail later, but I want to strengthen and simplify and streamline the anatomy first. Um, so yeah, that's my main goal is getting this to feel clean, getting this to feel designed, controlled, and then to worry about embellishing on top of that with the anatomy at a later time if I feel like it needs it. Uh, by the way, for those of you who are new to the stream, I know it's kind of early. Not everybody's trickled in yet. I think people are still waiting for notifications and things like that. It's totally cool. Hi, I'm Steven. um, I am a senior character supervisor on Overwatch, and yeah, pretty cool times. I am super excited about the future of the game, and it's gonna be a good time. Uh, in my spare time, this is one of the things I like to do is develop my own personal projects and play around and have fun. So that's what you guys get to be here for. um, what I'm going to do. Oh, I don't want AccuCurve on that one. I want my move brush and I want AccuCurve on that. I want to try to like start playing with this anatomy just a bit. Um, you know what? Let's go ahead and turn on AccuCurve for standard 2 and we'll just. Oh yeah, turn on spotlight projection. It's like it doesn't seem to be working. Why isn't it working? Okay, so now turn this really low and just kind of emphasize that little bit right there. It's like I want it to feel like a chin. I don't want it to feel too strong. See, we're getting like a lot of a dip right here. I'm not sure that I like that. So it's one of those things where I got to go back and forth and kind of play with it and figure out what works, what doesn't work. But I do know that I still want to have something of, let's see about getting this kind of worked out so that we have a little bit nicer of like a angle up and angle out sort of thing. Um, but yeah, so far so good. I mean, this has been a really cool project to 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 go back and work on. A little bit of a context for this particular character. She was kind of a project that I did. I want to say I started her maybe in 2017, 2016, 2017, and I was working on her as part of a demo that I did for Salt Lake Comic Con. And 'cause at that time I was teaching at a university up there. It no longer exists. It's called Broadview Entertainment Arts University. Um, yeah, like they they stopped existing after I left, um, after I left to go work at DreamWorks. Um, Not entirely sure. I mean, the mother schools, like, they didn't really want to give a whole lot of focus to our school. Um, Even though our school was actually doing decently all right, so far as enrollment and those sorts of things. Anyway, things happen. um, but yeah, so that's one of the things that I did. This is where she originated. This is how she started. It's part of a demo, and I gone through and sculpted her out, put her in position, everything. She was a full posed maquette character, and she just wasn't. Um, I was looking at her when I was looking for a project to start on, and I was just thinking to myself, I was like, yeah, she's got some good potential, but she's just missing some very serious anatomical cues, and things are just a little bit off in just the right amount of ways, And I was like, you know what, I want to I want to see her finished. So here's what we're gonna do. We're going to try to take her on as a spare time project, and so that's where we're at with her. And I'm excited about it. This is one of those projects that I feel like has so much potential. And she's fun so far. I have a question regarding sculpting shapes. I sometimes struggle to achieve smooth and clean shapes. Okay. So does your question have to do with techniques for creating clean shapes, or because that's definitely part of my focus right now, is kind of cleaning up some shapes and trying to get this thing to feel nice and solid, but also helping it to feel fleshy and to get some nice transitions and to get, just different little things like that. Get that a little bit more of a peak over here or something. Let's turn off that curve and let's see about getting a little bit nicer forms. You can kind of see like the shadow. If you look at it from different angles, you can see the shadow and how it's like we get this shape kind of going in right here. That's an indication of I do have a Discord actually, and if you wanted to be able to visit my Discord or any other of my links, you can find them right there. Um, that's a good question, Jace. Thank you. Yeah, so bio.site/smartist is kind of like my series of links. In fact, let me go ahead and pop it open. So like this is what it takes you to. And got things like my website, Food Demons Instagram for if you're interested in that, Flip Normal store, ArtStation store. Down here I've got my Discord newsletter, virtual tip jar for anybody who's interested. Um, yeah, I mean it's all just fun. Shows up on your phone and everything just fine. And I got this really cool thing. Let me show you guys because this is fun. Webcam. Oh, look at that! I didn't even have to go to my to my thing. What is it? What's it called? I got a Stream Deck. I got it from one of my coworkers who had, he had gotten it for his, to be able to experiment with and here let's go back to woo. Um, he got it to be able to experiment with, and it just wasn't getting used the way that he was hoping it would, and so he decided to sell it to me. So it's like cool, Stream Deck. I've always wanted one. So yeah, that's the origin of my Stream Deck. Um, so yeah, that's a great thing. So I've got a button on there to be able to pull up my websites. I got a button to pull up my starting soon. Watch this. Watch this. It mutes my camera, or it mutes my microphone. So yeah, it's no point in talking while that's on. But it's cool. I can jump between my different scenes, my different things. I can initiate the stream. I can turn it off. I can start recording. Do all sorts of things. Um, yeah, I can even change it to just my Cintiq, so like it's just that screen. So that's pretty cool. Get all the fluff out of the way and see what's most important. Um, but yeah, we'll keep it the way it is. It's kind of fun. I really quite enjoy it. Um, it's a nice tool. Yeah, it's fun. Okay, so one of the things that I wanted to be able to strengthen is like where you can see like right here, I kind of in my sketch cleaned up the flow of this eyelid a little bit. Um, Obviously it's going to affect this side because of symmetry, but I'm just wanting to make sure that I'm getting a better form for the eyelids here. I want to get a little bit better of a flow for this as well. It's working out pretty well. I mean, there's some things to kind of continue tweaking and making better, improving, but it's coming along. It's coming along nicely. Just kind of add that in. Kind of clean up that form a little bit. Now, right now, my forms are getting much more stylized than realistic, like they were back in the initial states of this particular project, um, which I'm okay with. I just want to make sure that I'm keeping everything unified. So, like in the face, everything's really pretty stylized and plainer. That'll probably soften out over time. But for right now, I'm trying to get a really clean graphic. Oh, I gotta fix these ears too. Let's try on backface masking with this clay buildup. And then the other thing I want to do is really push some of these shapes. Again, trying to clean things up, trying to play with it all, make it work. Gotta make it work. Let's go ahead and grab that, give it a little bit more of an apex. This can actually come down a little bit further. Something like that. And then this can come up. And in here, this can come down in here. In fact, let's use that clay buildup just to kind of knock it back and in some. Give myself a little bit more of a nook to work with here. Okay, I gotta turn off AccuCurve. I was like, uh-oh, I still have it on. The kids are watching Wonder Lab, Emily's Wonder Lab, something like that. Not entirely certain what the name of it is. So it's kind of funny, getting that YouTube, yeah. Okay. Now this right here, this ridge needs to come out beyond there. Something kind of like this is starting to work. Okay, and then up in here, this bit, I want to, let me see. Usually I try to feel my own ear. So it's like I've got that Y, it comes down and actually connects into this bit down here. So let's see, let's have it do something kind of like this then. Something kind of like that. By the way, if anybody ever has questions, feel free to pipe up. Tune in. Always wanted to. Hey, Leonard. Always wanted to ask you, why stylized? Stylized, I find to be more engaging. I feel like I like it more personally. And so, yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things where, because it aligns with my personal taste, I think that's kind of why I tend to go that direction. I'm still trying to decide if I like the wide ears better than like a more narrow ear, but you know, it's working. It's just, you know, different. So it's just a matter of keeping an eye on it and trying to figure out whether or not it's actually working. I need to clean this form up some. But yeah, that's kind of my big thing is like, I'm not sure that there was like a defining moment of like well that night I find that I excel at it better. You know, like I feel like I have more of a knack for stylized than I do for realistic. Um, like I've tried doing digital doubles before and it was just hard. Like I couldn't quite get it. So, you know, it aligns with my personal skills a little bit better. I want to try to eliminate some of these jowls here because I want her to feel um, kind of youthful. But I also want her to feel strong, and I want her to feel, yeah, that might be just like too much chin. That's a little bit better. It feels like it's less of a statement now, which is good. And it feels more unified, but I'm still getting that, you know, like that round up, straight up, and round out, which is what we one of the things that we had worked on last week, I think. I'm trying to decide if I'll try to start getting into the hands at all today. I might. I think it's a good idea. Let's get this going and flowing around a little bit. Kind of get that tear duct work in. Something about this spot just a little bit too like the crease coming to a crease. It just felt a little bit too distracting. So I'm gonna make that more subtle. Something like that is helpful. This, let's kind of raise this up so that it's creating a little bit more of like a little bit more of a round sort of shape. Yeah. And then we'll see about kind of trying to knock into this eyelid on this side just a little bit. By the way, for anyone who is in the LA Pasadena area this weekend, we have Monster Palooza. And the Pixelogic team is there with a booth, and they are saying hello. Um, I'm personally hoping to be able to get there at some point this weekend, probably tomorrow. Um, but yeah, I mean it's a fun time. If you have any kind of passion for you know, movie effects like you know makeup and prosthetics, Beerus, I have no idea what that is. Um, just finished stylized Jack Sparrow, huh? That's pretty cool. Yeah, I love that character. Jack Sparrow is a fun one. And with you being from the Caribbean, you know, that's I don't know. Is that show even relatable to you folks that live down in the Caribbean? Let's get some smoother forms in here. This is a little bit off. Did I finish my Monster Palooza thought? I can't remember if I did or not. Yeah, let's do something kind of like that, just for the sake of being able to kind of clean it up. Okay. So yeah, I'm just trying to like clean up the forms and then figure out how I want to bring things back, or how I want to, how, like, trying to bring it into a manageable spot and then controlling it. Um, gets really helpful to bring yourself to a baseline and then to figure out what to do with yourself. I mean, I can't wait for the day where we start. Um, that's pretty cool, Jace. You're thinking of going tomorrow too? Cool. I'm not sure what time I'll get there. That's kind of one of the tricky things. Um, hey kiddo, how you doing? Do you want to show everybody your pajamas? Those are pretty cool. She has Grogu on her pajamas. Little baby Yoda. It's super cool. They're power jammas. They're power jammies. That's what PJ stands for. Power jammies. Yeah. So yeah, I'm not sure. Um, Port Royale. That's a pretty cool. That's a pretty cool deal, dude. Like, I don't think I don't think I'd ever own a motorcycle. Um, I don't think I would mind it. I would like it actually quite a bit, I think. But I think my father-in-law threatened me with my life if I were to ever get one. I think my wife would disown me too. I don't know. Motorcycles are one of those things that, like, here, the motorcycle culture is, uh, it can be pretty reckless at times. It's kind of nerve-wracking for some of us who drive automobiles. Um, because like here in LA, and I've seen it in some other places too. Like I've seen it in Mexico. I've seen it in yeah, some other places similar to LA, where the city's just like a huge place. Um, the motorcyclists will do something called lane splitting. So they'll ride like right between the lanes. They kind of make a lane of their own between all the cars, and it's crazy. Um, and some of them will be like, "But it's safer," and it's like, "No, it's not." Yeah, no, it's not. You're riding right between all the people trying to change lanes, trying to skip in and out of the carpool lane. Yeah, it's a very dangerous thing to do. Stop it. I 1000% get it. So it's not like it's, something that I get it. I get it. I'm just like, just that some of those people go uh, roaring through that central area, and it's just like, I need some warning. But yeah, I don't know. I always thought it'd be super cool to have, not to mention a lot less expensive, unless you get into a wreck, right? Loud and fast. I actually got that question a couple of weeks ago. If it was a Khajiit, it's not. This is a Sphinx, my own rendition of a Sphinx. Um, I had this idea years ago. Um, back, in fact, I might have the thing posted up to somewhere. Let's jump in here. Yeah, this is from like 6 years ago when I was doing the basket. I think I might have another video in here somewhere that has. This is the sort of stuff I was looking for yesterday to try to show my students, and I couldn't remember where I had it. See, I thought I had another video in here. Oh, this is the demo from 6 years ago. Um, it's not anything like super fancy, but I mean, if anybody wanted to see it, um, it's right there. Um, but yeah, so this was done live at at Salt Lake City Comic Con. This is what she looked like 6 years ago. um, she was fun. She was a lot of fun. She's supposed to be the guardian of the scrolls. Um, so eventually, like inside of this basket, she'll have. Let me see if I can get a better view. Yeah, I'm just working on kind of like posing the body and things like that. There we go. That's kind of all right. Inside, so she's holding a scroll here. There'll be scrolls inside of the basket, those sorts of things. Just a lot of fun. It was a really fun piece to create. There's a lot of cool detail in here that I was super happy with, because it feels like beads, but it also feels kind of like fabric because of like how beads are woven together with cord and everything. It's neat. It's really neat. So yeah, this is how she turned out 6 years ago, and I really like it. I think there's a lot of potential to it. It's just a matter of going in and tweaking anatomy, making sure that things like the legs feel more proper to what a cat's legs might be, but also mixed with human legs so that it feels kind of relatable as an upright two-legged creature. The hands, I wanted the hands to feel cat-like, and so they have kind of like this bony quality, but also like I wanted to have like sharp nails. So that'll be something that we play with. The arms, I feel like the arms and the legs need a lot of work of anatomy. So that's part of what we started doing in bringing her into T pose. I took her from that laying down pose into this pose, and I started working on her. I haven't touched the hands yet, but we've done a ton of work to the torso, to the arms, to the legs. The feet are pretty, they're coming along pretty nicely. Everything's coming along decently well. So Hey, a carbon. Hey, Sparky. But yeah, so it's fun. Like this is kind of the sort of thing that I really enjoy doing, and I'm trying to push myself and explore and figure something new out. Um, so we'll have to see kind of how we do with it. I'm going to kind of drag this up. I want to get a little bit of more of like a high point here. This is a little bit too extreme right here though. Um, just kind of smooth that out a little bit so that it's not as aggressive. But then this will help so that it feels a little bit more streamlined coming down while still delivering on anatomy. Um, and this right here, maybe have like a little bit of a break. I'm trying to figure out maybe having it come up like that, something so that way it gets a little bit of like a round down and then a break and then a round down. Um, yeah, lots to figure out. Lots to figure out. It's a lot of fun though. This is one of those things that I super enjoy doing. It's like it's just a puzzle of a different kind. Okay, so I gotta try to look and see. Let's turn on AccuCurve for our move brush. There's something that I put into my concept that I kind of like. I don't have it yet in here, and it's going to be this little bit of an apex right here. So that'll give me just a little bit of a peak. Um, and that's coming in maybe a little bit too aggressively toward the front. Let's try flattening that out just a little bit, and then have this come more something like that. This bit right here, this it's like it's like when you do final topology. Um, hey Luigi, how you doing? Like when you do final topology, like wherever you place these five-pointed stars, you got to be kind of careful where you put them, like where it is right now. Like I mean, this is not final topology, so it's not something I need to be too worried about. Um, but it is something that I need to worry about. um, because it's messing up my forms and it's really making it hard to keep things clean through here. So um, let's kind of add like a little bit of an apex back in here. Here we go, something like that. It's like there's going to be like a lot of back and forth, so I will definitely be coming back to this at a later time and refining things, adding things, taking things away, tweaking it. And that's just going to be the nature of the beast. but it's gonna be fun, right? It's gonna be just part of the process, and that's just how it goes. Um, right in here, I do want to add like a nice little belly button. It's like I want it to be kind of more vertical than I do, like horizontal, because like they're like the two different kinds of belly buttons that you really see. There's like the horizontal and then the vertical. Um, so yeah, I think I want to try to do like a vertical here. The anatomy through here feels a little bit off. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take the torso and the legs. Let's go ahead and say merge down. So now we've got the torso and the legs as one piece. I'm going to leave the tail separate because I think that'll be easier to manipulate. Let's go ahead and merge these together as a Dynamesh piece so that it's easier for me to kind of clean up these surfaces here. One of the things that I could have done but didn't um, is um, keep a version of these where they're separate. And if I feel like I need to separate them again, I can. It's not too complicated. But I just wanted to be able to unify this and work on the shape overall as a whole. Um, so right now, I just kind of want to add a little bit more volume to the hip, just here in the front area, just to kind of emphasize that muscle. Just kind of hit that down a little bit. Smooth that down some, and it's looking much nicer, much more believable. It's one of those things that I'll have to keep kind of tweaking and moving back and forth on and all of that. This bit right here needs to be adjusted, like a little cleaner flow going from the rib cage down to the hips through the waist. I kind of want to give like a little bit more emphasis to this right here. You can see like there's a little bit of a dip, and that was kind of bothering me. See, like this area, this will get worked out more as we go along. I mean, it's not gonna get any more anatomical than that, like down lower than that. But I do want it to be, fairly anatomical. Any parts of the anatomy that we'll actually see. So things like in the stomach. The stomach is a pretty viable place for us to be able to actually see. That's possibly going in a little bit too far. It's one of those things like I'm trying to get myself to a point where I don't mind making changes. There's an artist. His name is Yusef. I think he's from. Actually, I don't remember where he's from. Um, but he's an amazing artist. Like really, really cool. In fact, maybe we should look him up just so that I can kind of plug for him, and you guys can go give him a follow on Instagram. Um, let's go to Instagram. Oh, good. I'm still logged in. Search Yusuf Zamani. It's like this guy's amazing. I really love following his work. He does some really beautiful, beautiful character designs. But one of the things that I really love and appreciate about his work is that whenever he's showing his sketching process, you'll see him go through and sketch and draw things out, and then he'll erase a whole bunch of stuff and redraw it. Um, so he's not so worried about getting it right the first time. If something's not right, he'll erase and he'll start over. Um, so it's a really really cool thing. He's got a great process. Like this is a great one. This is a great one. Let me see. Let's copy link. Go check him out, guys, because he's great. I'm pretty sure like with this one he goes through and he erases a whole bunch. Um, is there a way for me to be able to? No, I can't drag through it. We'll just watch it. It shouldn't be too long. Yeah, you can see like he went through and erased the whole body like multiple times, redrew the whole pose. Like, look at that. Again, like he knows when something is not working, but he's also not totally set on keeping it exactly how he did it the first time or even the sixth time. Like it's amazing. It's amazing. And I think that takes a whole nother level of confidence. It's not the confidence of being able to get it done and do it right the first time. Why is that not? I can't believe that wasn't liked. That is so not cool. Character design. Um, he has the confidence that he will get it right eventually. He has the confidence to try again. Um, Great eraser, right? I mean, like totally nailed it. And he got the face in a spot where he's like, yeah, I like that. Let's just find something that works with it. Um, and so he started finding a pose and started finding a structure that kind of worked, and so he erased and developed all that time and again, and yeah, super cool. Yeah, love this guy. He's great. He's great. Let's see. I am going to try getting a little bit of a dip here. Has anybody started playing Diablo for for work yesterday? Our boss was like, take the afternoon off, go dive into Diablo, and we're like, okay. So everybody took off and started playing the game, and it's crazy. It's beautiful. It's not really my style of story. Um, like it's too demonic for me, but it's pretty beautifully well done. Like they did such a killer job with it. Yeah, amazing boss. I'm on a mission to master the ZBrush. I keep expecting it to be my yeah, yeah, it's not. But it's an amazing tool, and I use it so often. I was talking about it with my coworkers the other day, and um, yeah, just talking about how flexible it is and how useful it is and all that, and most of the people that I work with are very into Maya, just modeling things out in Maya. They don't really touch ZBrush as much. Um, so I'm kind of part of a new generation of artists, if you will, at Blizzard. Um, there are a bunch of the old stock Blizzard and Overwatch artists that use a ton of ZBrush. Um, yeah, wait for it to go on sale. That's what I do for most things. Um, but yeah, um, I'm one of those that uses ZBrush until I have to use something else. Um, and with the way that ZBrush has been advancing the last few years, um, I have more of that liberty to be able to do what I need to in my pipeline and then be able to knock it out to something else. And it's super flexible and it's super helpful. Okay. Some of this stuff is starting to work much nicer. It's like there'll always be kind of this in fact let's see what's I see. I see. I see. I'm trying to check the materials and why it's not in fact here let's switch color back so that it's let's go to plugin, not scale master, subtool master, fill, color material. Oh, except for the eyes. I don't want the eyes filled. Undo. I have to wait for something like a switch port. Keeps my working computer from becoming a distraction. That's an interesting idea. Yeah, I've wanted to get. We had those at DreamWorks, and I thought it was such a cool piece of technology. Um, like I don't know, like there are so many interesting things. This is like at DreamWorks, the way that things worked is that we had two computers. We had a Linux machine that ran Maya and those types of programs, and then we had a Windows machine that let us run ZBrush and Photoshop. Um, so it was interesting. I don't know. I don't know why we didn't just do all Windows. I know that a lot of the modelers on that team are very old stock and very technically inclined, and so Linux is a very nice and easy way for them to be able to access all the tools very quickly, very easily. And so being able to use Terminal, being able to use those sorts of tools, really enabled them in their process. Um, I am terrible with Terminal. And so it was not an easy time for me trying to get used to that at all. But I still had to use Linux to be able to access Maya. Um, but that switch was really helpful. Um, I am currently using a Cintiq. Yeah. Yep. Um, do, 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 do. And then I've got my work computer over behind me. But that switch port's kind of cool because then you can go ahead and you can switch between your personal workspace and your digital or your workspace at the press of a button. Let's see if we can strengthen that shape some. Now it may be that this jaw, maybe it's a little bit too strong. It's something I've got to play with a little bit to try to figure out, making it feel more, I'll say more feminine. So I think it's just kind of, yeah, I like that. Just a matter of kind of diminishing it some, making it so that it flows more easily down into the chin and into the front of the face. Um, but I do kind of also like the strength that it brings. So it's one of those things I'm trying to figure out how to balance it, make it feel sleek while also making it feel strong. How do you position your hands for the keyboard and the screen? I have a big one I use at work and my back is killing me. Yeah, so like the nice thing is like I've got this, let me show you around a little bit. So like I've got this arm here that allows me to kind of, position my Cintiq some. And then this is kind of how I have my setup. So it's like I've got my Cintiq. Anyway, let me switch over to webcam mode. I've got my Cintiq. I've got my keyboard. I've got my mouse over here. And then I just try to like my elbows literally resting on the on the desk, and I'm letting that be my pivot point for most of my actions. So my wrist does get a lot of action, but not in like a terrible way. Like my wrist never hurts, so that's not bad. Um, I do get a lot of shoulder pain, and like I gotta massage myself out. I gotta stand up every once in a while, things like that. Um, but it's not bad. It's not bad. Yeah, I gotta go ahead and save this so it doesn't get lost. um, but yeah, so that's what we've got. So let's go ahead and jump back into our streaming view. Cool. All right. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at. Let me see, what time is it? 9:17. Cool. We've been at this for an hour. It's like nice. I actually wonder if I can put like a little clock on my stream deck to see if that's like a that could be interesting. Let me see. Um, According to you, which department artist is more demanding in industries, 3D modeler or rigger? Um, Both. I think that really good 3D modelers are always going to be in demand, but they're also really high in supply. There are a lot of 3D modelers. If you're a really good rigging artist, especially if you're a really good rigging artist and a really good modeler, um, then you can probably fit into either world and you'd be just fine. You'd be in high demand either way, because rigging artists are always going to be in much higher demand. Like character TDs, those sorts of things. Like um, they're super important to the pipeline, and I feel like there are fewer people that one super excel at it, but then also that really really want to be able to do it. Um, and so a lot of times there's a lot of demand placed on whatever existing rigging artists there are within a company. and so they'll sometimes get burned out. poor, poor folks. Um, but yeah, it's one of those things that can be kind of crazy. Um, yeah, I think that rigging artists are definitely, there's much more high of a demand for riggers. Hopefully that's hopefully that's addressing the question. So like people like companies need good rigging artists, and there are fewer of them than there are of modelers. Um, 32 inches is just unnecessary. Ah, bless you. Yeah, it's one of those. I don't even know how big this screen is. I can't remember. I think it's 24 inch. Cause yeah, I opted not to get the big. Yeah, it's 24 inch. I opted not to get the biggest one because it was like $1,000 more. I just like, I think I can make do with 24 inch. I've been just fine with that for who knows how long, and we can live. See, this surface right here is a little uneven, so I'm gonna try to work that out a little. That's significantly better. Not perfect, but it's certainly better. Yeah, I just took out a tape measure. I have this from the time that I was working at Imagineering. Um, in fact, let me show you real quick because this is fun. So yeah, it's just a tape measure. I put my own little sticker on there, and it's yeah, it's just a standard little it's got centimeters on one side, and it's got inches on the other. It's super handy. I use it all the time. Yeah, just like just measure that screen. It's just kind of fun. Uh, yeah, I like this. I like having the Stream Deck. This is super helpful, guys. So okay, so that'll be one of the most recommendable products that I use for, like, I love my webcam. My webcam is great. It's a Razer webcam. I got it from Target. I have my Stream Deck that works really well. It's really quick and easy to get across different scenes for my Streamlabs. Um, I like my keyboard. It's a nice keyboard. I can't remember what brand it is though. It's also a Razer. I like it because it's not too loud. I don't like loud keyboards. And then I have I have this really cool keyboard mat from work. You know, fun stuff. Yeah, they give some cool stuff at Blizzard. I like it. I like it a lot. Okay, that's looking better. This little bit in here could probably be smoothed out some, but then maybe give a little bit more emphasis to this. There we go. Get that streamlined going in there. It's like it's always important to check these things from all different angles because otherwise something's going to be sitting messed up. And it's like now that I've made this adjustment, I got to go back and look and make sure that this is still working, and that this is still working, and that that's still working, and that you're still working. Yeah, ears are tricky because they're thin, and so it's really, yeah, work swag is the best. Um, that's a good question. How much time do you think a character like that cat could be finished, just the sculpture? Um, this character is going to take a while. Like I'm planning for it to take a while, because I really want to work it out. I really want to, um, you know, really refine anatomy and design and style and things like that. And so I'm intending for this project to take a while. Um, I mean, like I was showing earlier, I think I might still have it. I don't still have it up. Um, let me open up the image because I think that'll be helpful. Um, this is what she looked like when we opened her up last week. Um, maybe the week before. I can't remember. Um, I don't like this thing how it opens up with the. I can't remember how I closed it. Film strip, I think, is what they called it. Interesting. I can use Photos Legacy film strip off. Now what? I didn't turn it off. I didn't turn it off at all. Oh well. But yeah, so I was looking at this and was thinking that it was, it's got cool potential. It's still a really exciting project to me. I really want to work out the anatomy and make her feel super just refined. Cause yeah, she's a cool project. She's fun, but she was a speed sculpt, and she's got some really cool elements to her. But I just need to work out some of those things like the anatomy to make her really work. So that's kind of a big part of what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to go through and refine the anatomy, refine the character as a whole, um, and then um, and then the idea is to take her through, make her a full posed maquette like we have here. It's so weird that it won't. It says film strip is off. Yeah, no idea. Anyway, whatever. Um, there we go. Now it's gone. Yeah, so I do have things in separate pieces at the moment. That just makes it easy so that I can kind of change positioning a little bit more easily. So like, for instance, the arms are their own thing, but then within the arms I have some different polygroups. It's like I have my hand, well, most of the hand. I have the fingers here, and then I have the arm as its own piece. This makes it easy just so I can figure out, okay, so up, down, in, out, those sorts of things. Um, I did the same thing with the legs, but I just recently merged the legs into the body, so that way I can kind of smooth out that transition, work on the actual transition from thigh to hip. Um, and so that was helpful. I'm going to leave the tail as separate for the same reason, so that I can kind of move it around and figure out how to connect it at a later point. Um, And so far, the neck is still separate. I might let's take it and merge it in. Actually, that could be a good piece to merge in. Let's see, merge. Okay, this is Dynamesh that all together, and then we can easily smooth out our transitions in here. This is one of those pieces that I think should be just fine to be to merge in at this point by now, you know. It's like I try to when I work in this flow, I try to keep things separate just for the sake of being able to keep control. Um, yeah, it doesn't need to be anything too complicated. It's just a matter of making sure that I'm getting structure and shape, and sometimes it's easier to control those elements if I can hide the other ones. That feels much more natural now. It feels like it's got a much better bridge from the traps going into the neck. Let's go ahead and get a little bit more of an indentation. Sorry. Kareem, how you doing? Long time no see. What you been up to? I'm gonna give a little bit more emphasis to this part of the. Yeah, let's kind of smooth this part out, maybe. Having a little bit more emphasis there kind of feels cool. We might decide later that we want to change it, and that's fine. I can't imagine being like that cat in winter. That's funny. Uh, yeah. Hopefully that answers the question, Niklaus. Um, it's it's a fun way to kind of go about it. It's not the only way to go about it, but that's something that I feel like has been helpful to me when I'm trying to go through this sort of workflow in particular. Um, Gosh, I think I might work on the hands some now because the hands are probably the farthest behind at the moment. So let's work on this. Yeah, let's go ahead and make sure that this is its own polygroup. We'll go ahead. We will take this, turn this, raise it up. Okay, I want to try it. So a few things like this. These fingers don't feel like fingers, and they definitely don't feel like cat-like fingers. So one of the things that I'm going to want to try to do, in fact, I need to kind of open up Bluescape, because I'm going to need to be able to see. Log in with Google. I'm going to need to be able to see that's kind of cool. Yeah, I'm going to need to be able to see. So this is Bluescape. It's kind of like PureRef. This is what we used at Marvel to be able to organize our thoughts and our ideas. So um, this is my little board for this particular character. Some pose reference, some ornamentation and costume reference, some cat reference. I have some anatomy reference too that I'll keep off of the screen. But yeah, this is all super helpful. So a lot of what I'm trying to look at are like these cats and these paws and how these are structured. I don't feel like I want to structure her hands quite in the same way um, as the cat's paw is, but I think I can take some elements from that to be able to figure out how to structure her just a bit. So it's really kind of interesting. Really great structures unfolds and things like that. But we're stylizing things quite a bit with our version. Um, like I really love this cat right here. This cat's face is just beautiful, and the way that the eyes are pushed, the shape, it's so amazing. So yeah, I've been looking at a whole bunch of different little things and trying to pull some really decent reference together. Um, Lots of personality to this one right here. Hey, see. Like strike. Anyway, so yeah, this is what I'm looking at over here. And I will be trying to let's see, let's zoom in on some paw stuff. All right. Do, 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 do. I was on Pinterest the other day and found the illustration of the character that got called. Oh, yeah. It was. It's such a. It's a shame that people are so. I think people are overly sensitive on things. Um, and I got caught up in the I've got to explain myself sort of thing, and that's baloney. It's just terrible. Um, but yeah, whatever. I don't know. I'm over it. I might go back and actually finish out that model at some point because I enjoyed that character. I thought it was super fun. But it's one of those things that you know sometimes those sorts of experiences just take the wind out of your sails. You know, people trolling and just being rude. They were just rude. It was very unnecessary. Everything that they were doing and saying is like, seriously, do I look like I have any kind of animosity toward you? Why are you acting like this toward me? Go home. It's just sad. It's just sad people are, you know, and granted, different people have different lived experiences, and so my lived experiences are not going to account for whatever that person had. Yeah, I remember that stream very well. um, my lived experiences are not going to be the same as that person's lived experiences. So, benefit of the doubt, it may be just that they had some very terrible trauma that they're sensitive to, and that's fine, and I can try to be sensitive to that, but but yeah, I just wish that there had been more sensibility with how they deal. with how they dealt with and received my artwork, you know, or my friend's artwork, you know. It's like it's a caricature. It was fun. Anyway, I'll stop talking about it. It doesn't matter. Got to put your behind in your past. How about animal sensitive? It's like a cat does not look like that. at work, we were talking about. Well, we weren't talking about. Somebody was talking about. I can't even remember who it was, but they were talking about. What's his name? They were calling him Hammond, the hamster. Um, this character right here, and they're like, how would his chest structure be? Like, he's a hamster, so would he have like 6 to 8 nipples? Like, what's going on? It's just like that's a really weird conversation to be having. But we have those conversations. And it's just like, good grief. Let me see. Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that I had my sound on. I love those conversations. Good grief. Um, lovely vertex pushing. Thank you so much. Um, if this character is purposed for in-game real-time use, does the initial hand pose material for skinning deformations? Is there sort of ideal hand pose for real-time characters? Yeah, kind of flat out, like relaxed neutral pose. I'm the character the hand pose right now is like it doesn't really matter a whole lot. Um, it's just a matter of me going through and making sure that things are structurally the way that I need them to be. I have a lot of sculpting to do. The anatomy is way off on this, and so yeah, a lot of what I'll be doing is, for instance, we might even just take those fingers and just eliminate them because, or maybe I'll split them. I'll split them for now. Let's say split hidden, just so this way we have a little bit cleaner of a model to work with. Um, and then the idea is to kind of go through, strengthen the anatomy, make sure that this is all working the way that I need it to. I don't really like this the way that this material handles. Let's get into skin shade 5. You know what? Let's just say fill material. Okay. Because this will give me a little bit better description of what's happening with the form. My favorite material to use for sculpting is the standard basic material. Um, Basic material right here. I just like that. I feel like it rounds out the surfaces nicely. But yeah, it's kind of fun. Yeah, cats do as well, and so it's kind of a funny thing. So that's what I was thinking about because like in my reference image, I mean I can see the way the cat anatomy is happening, and I definitely don't have that happening with this Sphinx character. Um, why do we only have one pair? Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I think you're absolutely right. It's because we primarily only have one or two at a time, so it just makes sense. Yeah, I don't know. It's always kind of tricky and interesting thinking about evolutionary type topics. Is like, did that happen? I don't know. Kind of bring that up a little bit. Let's kind of bring this thumb out. They're going to like I'm going to have to do a lot of a lot of sculpting on this stuff just to make it so that it feels right. It's like, look at that. That is so warped. That is so not right. I don't like it. I don't like it. In fact, let's take that thumb, give the thumb its own poly group. There we go. Okay. So now what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to look at my own hand and the way that it bridges from thumb to knuckle, like thumb to this first knuckle. Just gonna try to inflate this. I've already turned on my backface masking. Like, there are very few things that I've decided to actually bring out of the UI so that I have. Yeah, let's go ahead and turn on solo mode. Because I feel like, since I do a lot of live streaming, since I do a lot of since I do a lot of demoing, since I do a lot of teaching, I decided a long time ago just to keep my UI as basic as possible, just so that I can, have people can have an easy base point of reference for where everything is if they ever needed to look for it. Um, and then there are a couple of things that I have brought out. So I have like AccuCurve because I hate having to go up brush, curve, AccuCurve. I hate having to go into backface masking, so brush and auto masking and backface masking. Those are like two of the main things that I have, and then spotlight projection because I'm always using spotlight for things like reference. So very simple, trying to make sure that I keep everything as basic as possible. The thing that I do change up really often, like every time, is my keyboard shortcuts. So having things like open and save and the like. So yeah, and that's just that's just me. But here I'm going to say let's use this. Let's kind of smooth that out so that this is meeting up a little bit better. I think geometry, not dynamic subdiv. What I'm looking for, Dynamesh, groups, no. I don't know what resolution we're at, so let's see. Okay, let's try this out. Alright, that looks good. Yeah, we'll keep that. Cool. So now we have Dynamesh working on this thing pretty nicely. Okay, let me see. Hey, Peter. Let me see. Oh, let me see. It looks like I've missed a few things. Do you think that Mr. Nobody? Oh boy, it's a sad name, but it's fun too. Do you think that someone can make a living just out of sculpting nothing for games or things like that? What do you mean sculpting nothing for games? You might have to clarify on that, because like if you're talking about like background elements like props and environment and things like that, then absolutely. but sculpting nothing, like absolutely nothing, no. I saw a video of some character in a grocery store and talking to the bat employee, and the bat uses echolocation to answer the dude's problems with where the food is located. That's kind of funny. um, we know that stuff is researched. Only need to find the divergent path in evolution, but what practical use is it to design? I don't know. I don't know. I mean, it's one of those things that I don't know. I mean, everything needs to be designed to make sure that it fits with the whatever the stylistic intent is, to make sure that things are working in context with everything else, that it creates a sense of world and belonging. Um, like all of this through here, this is all like a mess, but now it's already looking so much better, so much closer to an actual thumb. Just like it's like good grief. Like it's still like super off, but it's much less off than where it was. Um, it's like one of my students at Noman. She's currently referencing some arcane stuff, and I was helping talk her through some of that stuff last night. It was really cool to stop and kind of assess what it is that they did with different like thumb, or not thumb, but like finger joints and things like that. So I think that maybe I can take some cues from that, because they did a really good job making sure. Let's try something like that. I don't like this, so I'm going to try to play with this some, but it's coming along. I want this to be less of a bump and more of just like a plane change. So one of the things that I'm going to try to do is kind of just flatten this out some. Cool. This might be a little bit strong, but one of the things that I do want is kind of like that crease coming around. This feels like it might be a little bit long. In fact, let's use our move tool and just kind of shorten that. And then let's kind of make it thicker. No, that's not quite right. That's not what we want. Let me see. Coming up on 10 o'clock, just for the sake of making sure that we're all right, let's go into the websites and check out. Okay, so the next stream isn't happening until tomorrow, so I don't have to worry about that. I do have things that I need to get ready for today. Um, Gotcha. You use cookies. I want cookies. Um, but yeah, let's see. Yeah, I'm like I feel like I can believe in some of that like evolutionary theory sort of stuff, because I feel like that stuff has been proven. to an extent. Um, yeah, it's one of those things though where it's like, um, see, that feels more like a thumb. Just one little tweak. Um, yeah, I don't know. It's one of those things where I feel like, where I feel like because it's been shown that it can happen doesn't mean that that's necessarily how it happened. Um, but I do find it like extremely fascinating, and I feel like there's definitely some merit to it. Because I mean, it's been proven with not just animals, but also with plants, in the way like the evolution of corn and that sort of thing. I feel like that's all some very valid information, and it's super fun. You know, it's like it's cool not to really like entertain the thought, but to consider how things happen and change it through a process. Like our bodies as we grow up, like we go from being kids to being adults, and our body goes through so many different changes, growth spurts, etc. That helps us to become, um, who we are in adulthood, and it's crazy. So yeah, we're on a biology train today. This is a little bit extreme. Let's take that out. Okay, so let's kind of go through. I'm just trying to carve in. You know what? Maybe carve this in back here. Now I gotta go and check and make sure from different angles, make sure that that's not losing too much volume. And then I just gotta work on forms. Yeah, because I need these hands to be fairly padded, but I need them to feel kind of, um, it's like so far I kind of like what's happening in that I'm getting like a little bit of a raised pad here in the middle. But I don't want it to be so extreme that it's like puff pastry. Like puff pastry. I love puff pastry. Let's grab this and kind of pull it up a little bit. Maybe not pull it up. What is it that I want to do with this? Kind of smooth that some, smooth this some. Yeah, let's go through. Let's say pinch this. It will definitely look stranger. That's for sure, my professor. Yeah, it would definitely look stranger trying to fit. trying to bring the torso anatomy more in line with like cat anatomy. It would just be bizarre. You know what? I'm going to say, let's get this, and we'll say Control W. Let's just merge these things together because I think I'll be able to control the transition from wrist to hand much better having these pieces be solid. In fact, let's grab this. This transition here is a little bit too extreme, and this is a little bit far over, so let's kind of move it over some. This doesn't have to be breaking that silhouette really. This can be kind of a streamlined, knuckle to wrist sort of shape, and then underneath is where we can get a little bit fancier. Do something kind of like this. Hopefully I'm not getting too strong with, yeah, it might be a little bit too strong. Okay, and then this little bit right here is going in too far, so it's just a matter of like tweaking and finessing and looking at it from different angles and all of that. But the idea is that hopefully once we're done, we have something that feels much more solid, much more developed, much more correct. That finger needs a ton of work too to make it feel a bit more finger-like, but okay, I think I want to emphasize this bone right here, this wrist bone. So I'm just going to kind of give it a little bit of a lift here. But right here, let's maybe try to streamline that bit so that this is a little bit nicer. Kind of put that in there, something like that. Okay, so for right now, that feels like it might be a little bit too far back. So let's take this, pull it up. We'll have this kind of angle off onto the other side of the wrist a little bit here. I think that might have that nice healthy twist in the form. And we'll have to refine it at some point, but I think that's heading in a decent direction. Yeah, something like that. It's kind of starting to work. Should we be worried about AI taking our jobs? It's getting worse. I think it's definitely creating, like, because I think there are already companies that are starting to employ AI techniques in their workflows. I don't know to what extent. I know know for sure that that's not something that I'm planning on ever adapting into my workflow because of the whole, um, sourcing debacle. Like it's coming from a source that isn't my own, so it's like it's sampling from anybody and everybody, and so it's one of those things that I think it's going to continue to grow. And I know, like, I have friends that are very very into it. um in fact, they get kind of defensive when when anybody says anything about it. um but I think that it'll definitely continue to grow and evolve and take shape. So it's a matter of, I think, taking. Oh, I don't know anything about Ashok Stamb. Yeah, I don't know anything about Indian government or anything like that. Um, but I do hope that there is. I do hope that they begin to take it more seriously. Um, because like that's part of what the protests in Hollywood are about. Is how we have AI coming in to take over some writing things and things like that, and so the Writers Guild, that's part of what is being addressed, with these protests, is like, don't don't send a robot to do a human's job. Um, yeah, it often isn't right or correct. Um, Oftentimes it's not ethical either, because of how it's sourcing from people who haven't given consent. It's. I mean, it's like there's such a fuss over what's it called, over IP and ownership and copyright, but when it comes down to a fun little tool that can turn you into a cartoon character, it's like nobody bats an eye, and so it gets to be kind of a tricky theme, a tricky subject. Um, let's see if we can. I'm not sure what that means. Sorry, Praveen. Yeah, let me see. I think I should be able to answer some good questions with form and structure if I can get this finger to be right. Because like I think this finger is a big part of why I'm feeling super put off by this entire hand. So I think let's go ahead and we'll work on the structure for this finger. See where it can take us. But yeah, for me personally, like I find AI art to be astounding. It's stunning. It's quite incredible what can be done with it. Um, but I also find it disappointing that um, it's become such a heavy phenomenon. as to to disrupt the industry in the ways that it has. It's disrupting the peace. It's disrupting people's peace of mind. Um, so yeah, it's a tricky subject, and I know that my friends at work, um, there's a lot of distrust and unhappiness with it. Um, and rightfully so. Um, but Blizzard still uses real artists and doesn't use AI and things like that. So it's like it's one of those things that I don't know that it will necessarily come for our jobs, but I think that it's trying to make the industry evolve in a way of being able to get um, being able to change certain processes and whatnot. And it's I don't know. I don't particularly like it and want for it. I don't want for it to succeed. I don't want for it to continue to come in salad fingers. Wait, salad fingers. I'm not entirely sure what what that means. Okay, so this needs to be tapered down so that this is more finger-like. I do like the idea of it being bony, but I also want it to feel very feminine, very elegant. I'm trying to figure out. He was a creepy character with long fingers. Yeah, I don't. I definitely don't want it to be creepy. I feel like it's coming around. Let's just kind of play with structure a little bit here. We're a little bit past the 10 o'clock hour, so I might not stay on for a whole lot longer. So I got some things I got to try to get to this morning. Okay. That's looking quite a bit better. But it's one of those things that I think that once we have all of the fingers kind of worked in, I think that that'll be a little bit. It'll make more sense and it'll feel a little bit more in context, and then I can work out the rest of the hand and that slightly larger so that it extends beyond like a good middle finger does. Control W so that that's its own polygroup. And now we can have like those three fingers be its own polygroup so that it's easy to delete and modify and whatever. In fact, we could probably make them also their own polygroups anyway, so that it's easy enough to control the individual fingers. Let's kind of do this. It's a little bit too small. Something like that could work though. There we go. Just kind of rotating these things around a little bit to cozy them out some. Now I got, so one of the things I'm looking at is like the shape of this hand is like super whack. You can't replace unicorns with AI. It's very true. Let me see. Oh man, I lost a whole bunch of. Yeah, you fixed it already. AI is making everything quite hazy. Just 2 or 3 years ago, I was pretty sure that would be possible 10 years down the line, but now the possibilities are so wide, it's almost impossible to think that even computers, what even computers will be in 10 to 5, 5 to 10 years. Yeah, for sure. What I'm afraid is going to happen is people who have no idea what it takes to make things are jumping in, thinking that our jobs are easy. Yeah, that's a huge thing, Leonard. Um, is that like I think that it puts too much power into the hand of like people that are executives or non-creatives, managerial type people who don't know the process, and they're going through and they're using AI to come up with their own ideas and everything. And sometimes it's all right. I think that there are definitely some creative executives out there, but yeah, I think it's definitely important uh, for the system to not get so messed up, because otherwise, you know, the industry will evolve, and things will happen in ways that I think might, potentially, industry leaders might fall, and then new industry leaders will emerge, and things like that. Could be a good thing, could be a bad thing, but it's one of those things that I'm not entirely sure how to take it for now. Um, it's possible that eventually you'd be able to get props and characters as you get from whatever AI reference you input. Um, I wouldn't be surprised if somebody's working on developing something like that, because I think that that's something that like the other day, I can't remember who I was talking to, but they were talking about how they wanted to be able to um, have quick and easy topology, and it's like, well, we kind of have some of those tools already available to us, but it's um, like like we're always going to have to tweak something so that um, it's production ready. Like there is no one button shortcut to make a model that's ready for production. There is no one button solution for proper UVs. There is no, you know, like, as good as some of the auto tools are, it's always going to get you only a fraction of the way there. Sometimes as little as like 20%, sometimes as much as 70 or 80%. You know, it depends on what it is you're working on. Um, but it's a matter of, you know, valuing your skills. Don't be afraid to, you know, ask for what you're worth. Don't be afraid to continue on and continue working and continue, you know, pushing who you are, what your value is, what your skill is. Oh shoot, that's not what I wanted. There we go. Because the value that we bring to the table as artists is incomparable. It's not something that can really be competed with. People think actual intelligence is always better than artificial intelligence. Oops. But yeah, I don't know. It's quite a polarizing topic for some people. I'm trying to be careful about how I talk about it because I do have friends that are extremely sensitive to it. But at the same time, my opinion varies from theirs, and yeah, that's okay. That's okay. Yeah, just because you're friends doesn't mean that you're not going to hurt each other's feelings every once in a while. I think AI needs to go away. um, but part of what I do to combat AI in my own life is I try to stay on top of developing myself, my own skills, my own talents. So it's kind of fun. I think 3D graphics as we know them will be pretty much gone. Maybe a 3D aesthetic is just a means to an end. 3D vector graphics are not really attractive. Sometimes they are, it depends. Um, need to massage them so much to get good results. That's very true. Which plan do you recommend for beginners? I'm not sure I understand your question, Carlos. Um, si hablas español, me puede preguntar en español también, está bien. You need to shift your knowledge to deeper levels of design. That's absolutely certain. I always heard managers say, I used to build models when I was a kid. I would always point at the pile of wood or blocks or clay and say, have at it. Yeah, um, it's correct to call someone that makes stuff with AI an artist. No, wouldn't be better to prompt writers, better to prompt writer or something. So I would say that anybody who's using, I mean, I think there's an artistic element to it, because there are some tools with those AI tools that allow you to kind of control what's happening, to change compositions, to um, there you have to have an artistic eye in order to know, like, oh, this is working, this isn't working, I need to change this area, etc. Right? Um, However, I feel like there's way too much of um, there's way too much of a hype and an excitement uh, around AI, where people are saying like, oh, okay, I'm creating this, like I'm doing this, but it's like it's sampling from everybody else's artwork, and so that's one of the big hard things for everybody, is that it's unethical in the way that it samples things. Um, it's just not great because of that. Um, so I think that one of the things that needs to change, like I think that if something like Stable Diffusion um, or oh shoot, what's the other one? Midjourney or any of those other AI tools were to be completely internal. So like if it were to be using somebody's personal, say for instance like J. Scott Campbell. He's one of my favorite comic artists of all time. It's just so awesome. He's a pioneer of the modern comic. He has a very distinct style. So um, one of the things that could be cool is that if he wanted to go through and sample his own work, I mean, I think that this is a kind of a lazy way out, but like if he wanted to be able to have his own database of his own artwork, um, where things are being sampled from his own things, and um, say for instance, maybe he uses a picture of his daughters or his wife to be able to uh, you know caricaturize her in his style. I think that like using your own internal library of things that you collected, things that you made, I think that that works. If Disney were to go through and have their own internal library that they sample from to be able to do new concepts or things like that, yeah, that could be kind of cool. But then having that be driven by artists who have the eye to be able to then take the idea and expand on it, or take the idea and develop it. I think that that's how I would like to see it evolve, because that's how I feel like, one, it becomes more ethical, um, and then two, I feel like it becomes much more about the art and trying something, exploring something, getting something different, but it still becomes a struggle then, of like, then you're replacing artists and you're cutting down the need for artists. So it's such a tricky balance to strike. But that's the most ethical way that I can see that sort of technology developing. How can I change the background color? That's pretty simple. You can just come up here to document, and you come down here to this. You can click and drag to anywhere on your document and get it to change. So that's it's a really super handy thing. But yeah, all your document settings are right here. So like you have range that has like your gradient here. I don't like having a gradient. And then to be able to select my background color, I just click and drag from that back panel up to the hand, and that gives me my consistent background color all the time. Yeah. The children of employees. That's funny. To be fair, we are in a sense sampling your art style right now by watching and learning. Um, in a sense, I mean, everybody's going to take influences from things that matter to them, things that impact them. Um, I mean, like I like to reference J. Scott Campbell because he's one of my favorite artists. I like to reference Gabriel Suarez because I super look up to him and the quantity and the quality of work that he puts out is just staggering. Um, but I feel like there's a difference between sampling from and being influenced by. Because like you can be influenced by anything that you're around, and you should be. You absolutely should be. Um, you know what? I need some better hand reference here. This is not right. Um, but yeah, I think you definitely should be influenced by what you see. Um, because that's what art is intended for. It's intended to express and intended to influence. Um, it's intended to make you feel something. So the things that you like, that's what's going to influence you the most, right? Um, or I guess the things that make you feel something, that's what's going to influence you the most. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to like it. Wow, everything is getting like super busy now. I'm trying to see. Yeah, but yeah, music, so much copyright is some respect that the whole field is stalling. Yeah, and like music, I think that people are a little bit too sensitive with things in music. I think that people I was thinking about this last night. I was like there are all those TikTokers and Instagram influencers who call themselves music experts and they're going through and uh they're they're stirring up sediment of making themselves come across as a music expert and saying, "Hey, do we um like the whole Ed Sheeran debacle, right? I mean, like everybody's saying like, "Oh, Ed Sheeran copied this song from who was the guy that they were accusing him of copying? Uh, I can't remember. Um, but yeah, anyway, so they're accusing him of copying this song, and I'm just like, no, it's not anything alike. You guys are ridiculous. Stop it. Just stop it. It doesn't make sense to go through and accuse him of any of that. Um, there will always be things that are influenced, but it's not. It's the same thing with what's her name? It's not Camila. It's hold on. I've got her in my phone because I dig her song. She's a young gal. She's one of those like new, fresh off of Disney gals. Hold on. Good for you. Where they're like, you copied this other song. It's like, no, no, she didn't. Olivia Rodrigo, where they're like, you copied that song. It's like, no, she didn't. But she ended up losing a lawsuit because somebody was like, you copied it, and it's like, no, you gotta listen better. You gotta listen better. It's not the same. Yeah, that's a huge reason why there's noise about AI. That's for sure. And you can't copyright art styles. That's something that, because like I'll do emulations all the time, and I think that it's just part of studying. It's part of learning, because artists, there are some really amazing talented artists that do things really really well, and I think that the best way to learn is to learn through emulation, or to learn through looking at what they do, and emulating what they do, or emulating things that they do. um, like there are some things that I learned from Scott that I particularly love, and that I use on most of my characters. Things about, like, playing changes on the noses. I mean, I've changed it a little bit, that it's not exactly the way that he does it, but it's I learned from that, and I find that to be super super helpful. So yeah, I think that that's one of my favorite things. When I was in school, that was one of my favorite things to do, is to do emulations of other artists, and I feel like that was the easiest way for me to learn. Okay, I'm gonna try to, like, it's the same way with, like, learning a language. Um, Music and movies and things. Like that's some of my favorite ways of being able to have learned Spanish. Like music and movies. Like it was, I didn't get the opportunity to, like, sit down and listen to music and watch movies and things like that. Talking with people and emulating their accents, the way that they pronounce things, the way that they emphasize things, all sorts of things like that. I think that those sorts of elements of conversation help us to learn how to really speak like a native, or how to really, um, yeah, really how to develop those conversational skills. I mean, same thing from a kid. So it's like, art's the same way, in that we learn how to, um, yeah. Um, oh, there's this cool, what was his name? Bashenga, the first Black Panther. If you've ever seen this, this is insane. Um, this is not real, but it's absolutely insane. Let me see. This is real, but this is not. Oh, where is it? Where's the stinking trailer? It's like, why aren't you? Come on, where is it? I gotta see if I can find this, because this is absolutely insane. Oh, come on. It's like it didn't even show it. Does it have it linked? It doesn't even have it linked. That is so impolite. But it was this. Is this? Is this it? I do want to find this and show it to you guys, because it's super cool. Hey sis. Um, all the things I envision, a computer that can output everything from prompts is not currently or in 5 years in the tech matures to be able to do flawless film from script. It won't have artistic vision. It won't have the purpose of an artist. Yeah, it's true. Um, I recently got a job in the 3D world. Any advice to start this wonderful journey? Congratulations, Andres. That is awesome. Okay, skip the ads. Skip the ads. We don't need ads. Go away, ads. No way. Oh, here we go. This is the stuff. So, like, this is Bashenga. And, I mean, a lot of this stuff looks like legit um, concept art. Very beautifully developed. Um, I just wish that I could find the actual video to show this stuff. Because, oh my gosh, it was amazing. Anyway, yeah, you could probably find it in here, but it's here. I'll put the link to that here. But this is something that absolutely blew our mind when we first saw it. Like we were like, hey, did we asked Ryan Meiterding, like, did are you guys developing this at all? And they're like, no. And we discovered, really quickly as like that it was AI, and it was something that somebody had gone through and generated, and so this is really like high level stuff, like very beautiful, beautiful work, but it's not real, and it's one of those things. It's like, uh, it's crazy. Anyway, like too much about AI, I guess. Okay, those hands do not look very cat-like. They don't look very designed and controlled at all. I'll have to design something, but at least they look more like hands now. Um, in the very very least. I think that the wrist is connecting at the wrong spot, so it might be a matter of grabbing all that. Kind of sliding this over some. That feels a little bit more correct. I mean, the hand still feels like it's really, really out there. Let me see. Grab that and just kind of shorten it some. It's like I want to make sure that the arms feel long enough. So maybe it's just a matter of lengthening that upper arm a little bit so that elbow's more in its proper spot. See, that looks a little bit better, because like if we were to take this and rotate it down, rotate it back, you can see like that elbow's coming to a more natural sort of spot. Let's kind of move that pivot point to more where it's supposed to be coming from. So yeah, that elbow's coming to a more natural sort of spot. The fingertips coming to a more natural spot. So it should be all right. It should be all right. So recently got a job in the 3D world. What is it that you're doing, Andres? I think the biggest thing that I would recommend doing is connecting with your peers. Um, Connecting with your peers and not being afraid to ask questions. If anybody's ever too like irritated that you're asking questions, they're not a good person to ask questions from. There will always be somebody to ask questions. Here, let's make sure we have this saved so that we don't lose it. Um, but yeah, so I would totally recommend asking a bunch of questions. Um, just being diligent. I think that that sort of thing is you were getting fitted for a 24-hour heart monitor. Yeah, what's I mean, I guess you can tell me about it later, I guess. Huh. That's how I learned Japanese. Yeah. It's about being able to emulate. But then you get the danger of sounding like you can speak it better than you really can. Yeah. I can see that. But yeah, I hope you're doing with collectibles. Cool. Yeah, definitely asking questions. Networking is always a good thing. Um, and then yeah, I mean, if you're into collectibles, you probably already got a whole bunch of stuff under your belt that like what could I tell you? like, um, but yeah, staying with using lots of reference, using looking at things from different angles a whole lot. I think those sorts of things are going to be the most helpful things that you can do. I want to try something. Deformation, inflate. You know what? I'm going to try. I don't like that. I do think I want to try something that feels more cat-like, and I think I might need to. Ooh, I could look up like Bagheera or Shere Khan or something of that nature. By the way, if anybody's looking for any of my links, here are my links. Um, but yeah, um, if you look at all the output of global production in film and TV, the actual amazing work is minimal. AI is not able to do amazing stuff and won't be without deep contribution from visionary artists. That's true. Um, Cookie dealer, oh my. Um, this is joining school for 3D animation. Can somebody help me be perfect? No, nobody can help you be perfect. It's going to take a ton of effort on your own part. There are people that can help teach you certain things, um, but a lot of like that's the same for myself. Like anything that um, I've that's kind of interesting. I'll leave it for now. I guess it's not a big deal. Um, yeah, like most of my yeah, my Discord is simple. It's basic. It's okay. You can say it. It's basic. But it's okay. It is. It's simple and clean. I mean, I try to keep it pretty minimal because I don't need like a gaming six channel and and personal time 43 or hey what you listening to 16 channel. I don't know, like all sorts of. There are some people that do some crazy things, and there's some people that do some really cool crazy things with Discord too. and I need to learn how to get better with it. But um, I don't know how to spell Shere Khan. Bagheera. Um, it's giving me like live action. It's getting too cat-like here, but I think Shere Khan. How do you spell Shere Khan? Yeah, cause like he's got some expressions with his claws that are kind of nice. So maybe what I'll do is I'll copy this and I'll put it over into my reference. Because that could be nice. Leave it simple, reflect your personality. Now, what does that mean? Is it okay to post work in progress projects when you apply for jobs? I recommend not doing that. I feel like I'm never able to finish things, and I don't want to shoot myself in the foot if I post that. Yeah, it's definitely better to try to finish things. Like the more that you leave things unfinished, the more that they're going to think that you can't finish something, that you don't know how to finish something. So that's the problem with putting work in progress into a portfolio, is that it gives the impression that you don't know how to finish things. Um, that being said, if it if it's really good and it looks like it's on its way to becoming finished, I'd say then you could go through and probably post it. I have a couple of things probably in my demo reel that might be worth taking out. um, Let me see. But yeah, I mean, I try to put things in here that are finished. That look finished. This is one that's an example. I love this character, but she's just a half a character. She's not finished. She has just her hips up, but she feels finished. She feels like there's a direction to her. I show my whole process, so it's like it's just kind of a fun piece. So I recommend kind of looking for opportunities like that. This is one of those characters that she's also not technically finished. Um, she's a whole character, but she's not ready for production. Like she doesn't have final topology. She doesn't have things like that, and so I don't. You notice that I don't with her. I didn't share topology, but I did share some. But I did share the creation process. So that's a thing. Just different little things like that that you can kind of think about and consider. Um, yeah, in my demo reel though, let's kind of expand this out. An example of a character that I have in here that isn't finished, right here. Like I love this character, and I feel like the reason why I included her in my portfolio, that included her in my demo reel, is that uh, I feel like she shows an ability to carry out artistic expression, to be able to carry out artistic direction, um, to be able to get something that feels like it's got a good direction going. And granted, since I went through and posted this, I've refined her some and done some changes. But generally speaking, like I show a lot of my UVs and texture work and that sort of thing. Um, so like yeah, textures, topology, trying to show that I can take something and make it something really finished. Topology, but yeah, this doesn't have topology, but it's a toy, so it's fun. Um, yeah, it's fun stuff. It's a matter of kind of figuring out what it is that helps to showcase that you can finish things, or showcase that you can handle artistic style, or um, yeah, seeing work in progress is cool, but I think that like putting together a portfolio, like you got to be careful about how you include those sorts of elements, those sorts of things. I need to put my Goblin Babe in there. I don't know what else to call her. Yeah, Shere Khan. So I put that in there. Awesome. Let's kind of shrink it down because it doesn't need to be so big. Yeah, he's got like massive paw hands. I think that Milk Call did a really good job with Shere Khan in making him feel very. Here, let me see. Let's copy this image and put it over in here too. Um, he did a really good job at making him feel. I'll say almost human. It's really kind of a crazy thing to think about. Just like this very cat-like paw shape, but then making a fist out of that, and like, wow, okay. I think there are definitely things to. It's definitely not the right Shere Khan. At first, like that hand gesture was kind of interesting, and then it's like, nope, it's not as good in the thumbnail is where it was really shining the best. I love this long um, nail copy image. Let's put this over in here. Oh, it's massive. So yeah, Shere Khan will be a fun reference for me. I mean, it'll be interesting going through and trying to figure out how to apply what it is that I'm seeing from Shere Khan into my character, because I do want it to be much more realistic. I didn't realize Idris Elba was the Shere Khan in the Jungle Book. That's kind of interesting. I want to have to go back and rewatch it now purely because of Idris Elba. There we go. That's pretty cool. I don't think I'll save that one though. Anyway, we'll call that good. We will call that good for now. So yeah, a big part of what I'm going to want to explore and experiment with is making those fingers feel more cat-like, a little bit less human. Uh, we'll probably try to do like something different with the whole hand, just to make it feel like it's more cohesive and whatnot. But it's fun. It's fun. It'll work out. Um, I would call AI artist to someone like uses AI, but rework the results to paint over it all in Photoshop. Yeah, I mean, I think that that's definitely a great way to use it, where it's like you're trying to get yourself part of the way there, but then it's like I've seen a lot of those AI artists that do paintovers in Photoshop, where it's like they get the image and it's 99% of the way there, and they just do like a slight bit of color correcting in an area, or they do like they replace the face with another face using like an image that they painted already, or so, I don't know. It's kind of one of those things that I feel like it's less a tool and more a decapacitator. But then again, it harkens back to that. Where is it sampling things from? It's sampling from other artists. It's sampling from other things that don't belong to this person. Um, Fishbot. Yeah, I like it too, sis. I want to go through and print out my Fishbot nice and big. Um, Thank you so much, Olivier. That's very kind. Is it okay to do project? I'm not sure I understand your question, Olivier. Is it okay to do project that have already done like Pokemon and stuff? So like trying to do a project based off of an existing IP. I think that if you do something like fan art, that sort of thing, I think it's totally fine. The thing that you want to be careful of is that you don't go like trying to make millions off of somebody else's property. Have you seen? I'm going to look this up. Let's open this up. Yeah, I think. Well, this is interesting. I don't know. It might be. Yeah, her hands feel a little bit too chunky, but it might be something that's. Yeah, it might be something worth exploring a little bit. See, this is kind of cool. I like the sharpness of this. So maybe what I'll do is. Oh, come on. That's not what I wanted. Open image in a new tab. I'm going to reference this. Say copy, paste. That got really big. Cause like I like the sharpness of this right here and the shape of those nails. I think that that works really well. I'm toying with the idea of like a retractable claw, which would mean that the finger would need to be thicker, um, or like the what's the vampires on Supernatural? Yeah, like look at that. That's gnarly. uh, Looks like it's more supposed to be a kitsune, but it's cool. You know, this is something that's really kind of neat. Copy image. Yeah, I like Supernatural. I think it's a fun show. It's like this has some interesting things. This has some interesting things. Yeah, different like furry artists are kind of interesting in the way that they. It doesn't look like it wants to load all the way. But somebody was definitely having fun with it. I think this is kind of neat. Yeah, it looks like it doesn't want to load all the way. It's okay. We'll keep it as nice and small. Yeah, real cat paws are really fascinating. They're super different from really anything else. Let's go ahead, we'll just copy that as it is and then bring it over into the reference tool. That's creepy. But yeah, it's all just trying to like figure out different things, I guess. I think that there are some elements though from this series of images that I think are really helpful. I just think that it's too chunky. Um, this is cool. So I'll try to bring that in and see if I can reference that some, because I think that that has some better structure to it. I like how it feels hand-like, but then it also has like claw and paw elements to it. It's got a little bit more like a club sort of shape to those fingertips, which feels more padded, which feels more feline. Oh, this is cool. Just kind of rearrange this a little bit. Cool. Yeah, so I think I've got enough reference now that I can kind of start to make some decisions at a later point. But yeah, that's where we're at. That's kind of what we've got for now. I think I mean there's definitely a lot less to a lot more, a lot left to refine, but certainly a lot less than what we had before. I want to turn on that hair and kind of see, just to be able to see her with context and hair ties. I think that this stuff can probably stand a little bit of repositioning. So we'll go ahead and we'll grab these things. Kind of pull that out some. Pull that out some. Pull this out some. Just trying to make sure that I'm not losing my clean shapes. And I like that color, like that color right there. So let's say mRGB color fill object. Oh, good. Okay, that's already got that part in there. So that's good. And that's all just block in. I mean, it's not something that will be um, final, but it's still cool and still works, and it's helpful for being able to figure out how things are going to work in the end. And if it's not working, it's not the end. Yeah, I don't know. There will be a lot to really work through with her, but she's looking pretty cool. Let me see. This is not hair. These are actually the earrings, but they're old earrings, so some of these things down. Yeah, some of these things are like really not right, but it's okay. Let's turn on symmetry real quick. Let's say deformation, we'll say inflate. There we go. So now she's got some like earrings and things happening. Yeah, we're getting somewhere. I need to probably call it a day though. So this is like some pretty cool progress and some pretty cool things happening so far. Cuff earrings on characters automatically make them a billion times cooler. Absolutely. Let me see. I'm trying to think. Yeah, real cat paws are pretty cool. The way the claws work. I don't know what a litheness is. Who is the person or person? Who is the person or persons that without them there would be no smartest? I don't know. Glad I could catch the end of the stream. Oh, thanks, sis. Thank you so much. But yeah, so this is where she's at. This hair needs to be very different from what it is, I think. I think that this is kind of an interesting stand-in, but I think I want something bigger. Something with like a little bit more body to it. So like it might be like a series of these sorts of volumes that are kind of coming off, and I don't know if it's like if that means that that's braids or what's going on. I've thought about maybe taking some braid kind of coming off the front over here. Um, getting some braid kind of coming off maybe the front of the shoulder, this sort of thing. Not entirely sure. Um, but then I think like having it tied in down at the bottom could be cool. And then let me see, let's copy that. Let's put it over in here so that we can keep track of different ideas and draw overs. Let's see, let's grab the other draw over that we brought in earlier too. Is this it? Yep, that's it. And that's the original, just so that we're kind of keeping track of what it is that we have and haven't done. Yeah, there's a lot that goes into these things. I do a lot of development, and oh, put that there. Okay. I didn't know that I could do that. I can crop in this program. That is so cool. Oh, that is so helpful. That's actually super, super helpful. Okay, because now I can come in over here and I can crop down on Shere Khan. You know, he doesn't have to be so big. Done. Awesome. Yeah, cool. Anyway, that's it's stuff that I'm doing off screen you guys can't see, so it's not really affecting you guys or benefiting you at all. Um, so now that I've said that I'm done, I'm going to keep working. Per the norm. That feels a little bit too much. I'm going to have to. Yeah, it's like there's not really as much of like a. Let's see, we can kind of hint at that. I just want to leave this in a spot that I'm kind of happy with. I think that there's enough here that I'm just like, yeah, I wanna refine it just a little bit. There we go. I think I can be happy with that for now. For now, being very, very keyword. Okay, cool. I'm gonna call it good right there. That's uh that's a promise. We're good. We're all right. So yeah, thanks for coming, guys. Thanks for coming and hanging out, spending some of your Saturday with me. Um, hey Logan, I'm checking out. Is this an OC? Yes, it is. Yeah, it's my own version of the Sphinx, um, and I'll be developing her out over the next little while. I'm really wanting to kind of work this one to death. One of my favorite. Let me show you just kind of my inspiration for this. Let's go into. Oh, I thought I had a link to just my art station. I guess I don't. Art station. Um, my friend Colleen. There we go. Colleen Peck Larson. She's absolutely incredible. She does great, great work. And this Frollo character is one that I felt super inspired by because she worked on it for a long time. But she worked on it for the sake of being able to polish, being able to figure things out, being able to learn certain things. And so, um, yeah, so to me, that was super inspiring in the way that she was able to take it, create something that was fully realized and just beautifully finished. Um, and so that's kind of the idea with my Sphinx is I want to get something to this level of finish, not necessarily realistic or realism to this degree anyway, but something much more than what I have. In fact, I gotta put this into my standards of excellence. Um, but yeah, like I feel like it shows a great attention to detail, great attention to level of care and those sorts of things. So that's the sort of thing that I want to be able to do for myself. And so yeah, I'm gonna try it out and see kind of what it is that I end up with. But obviously with my own character, you know. Um, so yeah, let's end up with a good close up over here. Let's get her over here and then get screenshot and then kind of pull her out a little bit further so that we can see her whole character. But yeah, thanks for coming and hanging out with me for a little bit, guys. Like it's fun. It's nice having good people in here. Let me see. Thanks, sis. Yeah, maybe I'll see you tomorrow if I end up getting over to Monsterpalooza. Take care, guys. Thank you so much. Have a great weekend. I'll see you next time. Cheers.